So for this question, I actually don't like the way that the book tried to explain it. If you take a look, they essentially rationalize the denominator, which in my opinion is a lot more work than necessary. So let's go ahead and look at a more efficient way to do this problem. So for me, that would be taking the denominator from its radical form to rational exponent form. Let's go ahead to page 34, which is side 3 of our math reference document. And notice we have the difference between rational exponent form and radical form. And keep in mind the analogy that I provided in class. So here's the elementary school way of saying 10 divided by 5, right to left. Here's like the high school approach of 10 divided by 5, top to bottom. And we kind of eliminate the middle school approach because it doesn't really play into this analogy. So notice anything that doesn't have an exponent is assumed to be a 1. If there isn't a root, like an index written outside the root, it's assumed to be a 2. And we read this from right to left. So 64 to the 1/3 or 64 to the 1/2. And then the exact same way that I said it, we write it here in rational exponent form. So 64 to the 1/2, 64 to the 1/3. So let's go ahead and take the denominator and rewrite it as x to the 1/3. And then the numerator is just x to the first, because if there isn't a written exponent, it's assumed to be a 1. So now we have to go to our properties of exponents, which is actually right next to the radical versus rational exponent form. So here we have 5 different properties. The one that we're dealing with is property number 4, where you're doing a quotient of powers. And so you rewrite the base and subtract the exponents, top minus bottom. So when we do 1 minus 1/3, you could just do it in your head if you're comfortable with your fractions. For example, changing 1 to 3/3, and 3/3 minus 1/3 is 2/3. Or you could just put it in the calculator, 1 minus, and then you could do alpha y equals, enter, and we'll type in 1, right? And we get 2/3. Well, when we look at the answer options, at this point we realize, well, none of them are in rational exponent form. I mean, technically D is, but that's not what we have. So if I rewrite it as x to the right to left, that matches perfectly with C.